Today we're talking about dashboarding. It is a capability within ARIS, and it is termed as ARIS Aware. So when you hear the term ARIS Aware, it is the dashboarding capability within ARIS. And what I'm going to be doing is to give you an overview of what ARIS Aware is all about, and then deep dive into how dashboards are used within ARIS and how do you work with them. What are the capabilities in terms of the functionality and the features that it offers, and then talk some more about how to work with them, and then I can show you some demo. But for you to be aware about the capability, there are some licenses that are needed for you to be able to work with it. So on the server side, there is an enhancement pack called Aware, ARIS Server EP Aware, and there's a code for it. Similarly, for you to be able to design a dashboard, you should have a Connect Designer enhancement pack. And if you are a viewer who's going to be looking at dashboards, then you need an enhancement pack for Aware. And there are codes mentioned here in case you need them for speaking to your account executive in case you don't have these licenses already. These are the licenses that you would need to be able to work with ARIS Aware. So what is ARIS Aware? To give you an overview, it is the analytical capability within ARIS. So if you were to show certain things as graphs within ARIS, for example, change requests, risks, controls, process maturity, you could have any of these uh, graphs that you perhaps want to see as analytics within ARIS. And for that, if you were to look at that as a graphical format, then you do need the Aware enhancement pack, and it allows you dashboarding within ARIS. So ARIS Aware, if you got the licenses, you can start working with it, and you can create graphs which are meaningful based on your process metrics, based on your change requests, based on user um, analytics. If you want to see how users are using ARIS, so all of those analytics can be seen with ARIS Aware license. So as mentioned here, it's a visualization tool used for looking at the content within ARIS, either related to the models or user statistics or document lifecycle, any of them in a graphical format. Right. So why do you want to use ARIS Aware? So ARIS Aware is sort of a capability that lets you look at the data in a visual format. So instead of looking at models and numbers, it is easier to look at graphs. So in terms of analytics, when you look at a pie chart or a histogram or a bar chart, it's easier to analyze the uh, the trend or the pattern. So it is easy to work with graphs rather than numbers, and that's the reason we included ARIS Aware as one of the capability within ARIS, where you can extract data from within ARIS or an external data and join it up with ARIS related data to present some sort of a holistic picture of where you are on your journey of BPM. So what is it? It's a software or a capability that lets you interactively look at visualize your data within ARIS. And why do you need it is to be able to create dashboards, so you can look at the data in much more meaningful format, which is easy to comprehend, and you can make better decisions looking at the trends and the patterns within the graph. Uh, it also enables real-time analytics. So if you're looking at, for example, let's look at GRC as an example. So if you're looking at control testing within your GRC tool within ARIS, and the control tests need to be carried out in a particular period, and you want to see how many control tests are being carried out, how many of them have been completed, how many of them are undergoing evaluation, and how many of them have issues with them, then you can look at that data in real time to see how control testing is progressing day by day. And if you think that there are it's not as per your plan, then you can of course take uh, steps or actions to make it better or bring it back on track. So if this data is available to you in a visual format as graphs, where you can see planned versus the actual control tests that are being carried out, and you see that there's a deviation between them, then you can take decision to sort that out. So that's the reason why you need a graph to look at the data and compare values. And it is real time in nature, so you can actually see how things are progressing minute by minute. Uh, Here's an example of why what you can do with it. So you can collect data from within ARIS or from other tools like SAP or Salesforce or ServiceNow, PeopleSoft, whatever other tools that you might be using, and combine the data with the process data within ARIS and produce a meaningful chart that mashes data between ARIS and the other tools. So if you're following a process, order to cash process, within ARIS, and then you want to present the process metrics as a graph, then you can collect the data from these various systems and mash it up with the ARIS process data and then show it as a graph related to this end-to-end process, order to cash or procure to pay. So the idea is that you can collect data from external systems and then join it with the data from within ARIS. It could be other parts of software AG product stack as well, with which you can mash this data and then present it as a graphical format. Having said that, what are the benefits of using ARIS Aware? So ARIS Aware is a native platform within Software AG's ARIS product suite, which means that you don't need any integration. It means you don't need to create any API based data collection, or you don't need to build any special customized interaction with other parts of the organization. If you've got data within areas that you want to present, you can present it natively without additional effort. It's quite easy to work with. It's quite intuitive. We will see that shortly. You don't need to have any specialized training to use ARIS Aware. Once you start using it, you can quite easily pick it up and build meaningful dashboards. Moreover, it has some really good transformation features in it. So if you want to play around with the data, raw data, and convert it into something that is much more suitable for data presentation, then it does allow a lot of transformation rules in there. And you don't need to know any coding or any sort of software languages to be able to work with it. It does support SQL based query if you were to use it, but if you don't wish to use it, then you can also do a drag and drop kind of a work. And then the data is available or shown to you in the real time, in which case you can see what's the trend and how it is moving. So if you were to look at the data in real time, it does allow you to show that in real time. Plus, you can look at it in various devices, so you don't have to be looking at it in a laptop. You can also look at it on a tab or a mobile phone. It is mobile friendly, so it converts the layout automatically based on the device that is used to look at the content. So what's the differentiation for the customer? So if you are going to be using ARIS Aware to build your dashboards, then as I mentioned earlier, you have data connectivity to ARIS as well as other products within Software Edge's product stack. The dashboards are real time. It's got in-memory analytics. What that it means is that you can present a big amount of data without any performance degradation. And it allows you data transformation. So you can prepare data and show it as per your requirement. You can blend that data with other data that is available in the organization from other systems. So that's how it offers you a differentiation. So just to show you what it means, you can have different sorts of data feeds here. So the data sources could be a database, which is maybe a JDBC. You could have cloud based systems. You could have something in the web as a ticker, for example. You could have other software AG projects like ARCM or ARIS, or you can have web methods, or you could have a data lake or data warehouse. You can have spreadsheets, Apama, various other data sources. So you can collect data from all of these and present them in this format as a graph. But in the middle, it allows you to play around with the data. So you have this option to prepare the data, and that preparation can either be using the operators that are available within dashboarding, or you can work with EMML or RACL, which is a SQL type script, which you can use to format the data or prepare the data in a particular format. And then you can present it in as a graph. At the same time, it supports all the security related protocols, so that the data that you're presenting or preparing is secure, and there's no problem from a risk perspective, data loss or something. And the data that you prepare and present is also available for you to in the collaboration feature or the governance feature. So it's very secure to work with. And this can be accessed via a browser, as I said earlier. So you can have Firefox, or you can use Chrome, or whichever browser you're using, as well as you can use it on various mobile devices. Could be a tab, could be an iPhone, could be an Android device. So all of them are supported. So what it basically means is that you can collect all of this to prepare this. Uh, so that's what a mashup is. So if you look up this terminology on the web, what it basically means, what mashup means is creating a new content by combining a lot of existing content. So the content could be from various applications, and then you join all of them up to produce this end product, which is quite good uh, and useful. Uh, if you look at it from an architecture perspective, then you can have all of these different data sources, which we already saw earlier. So you could have a JDBC based data source, you could have RSS feed, you could have ARIS or CSV file, XML, JSON, whatever format that you have. It accepts all of those formats. So these are data sources. On top of them, you build a data feed. What a data feed is basically combining these data sources and preparing the data. We will see that hands-on today. And then you build a mash app on top of it, which is basically the graph which looks at these data feeds to be presented in a graphical format. So we'll work with in today's exercise, I'll take a JSON file as an example. So JSON would be the data source. We'll build, say, one data feed, and then we'll build a mash app on top of it, a dashboard. So you see how you can prepare a dashboard from some data within ARIS. Right. So when we talk about data preparation, which is creation of the data feed, you can blend data from multiple data sources, and then you got a number of operators within the data feed creation, where you can play around with the data and prepare it. So you can transform the data by adding columns to it, by removing duplicates, by giving some variables as inputs to the data. You can also do some transformations like combining the data, joining the data. You also have this option, which I spoke about earlier, SQL-like dialect, RACL, which is a query language. So you can have one of those query languages in here where you can select something from the entire data to filter it out. And then finally, you get your prepared data, which is then presented as a data, as a graphical format. So this is how it would look like. So you prepare the data and then you present it in this format. There are multiple graphs that are available here. You've got the spider diagram, you have the bar chart, you have histogram, you have the speedometer, pie chart, donut. You can also inlay Google Maps or have other types of diagrams. All of them I will show you. We'll work with some of them. There's also the option of having filters, so you can have a date filter or a drop down to filter out content, which we will see shortly in the live demo. Uh, Another thing which we mentioned earlier is that ARIS Aware is native to ARIS. What that means is that it is also context sensitive. So if you are building a dashboard that is specific to a particular process, so you want to show a process matrix of one particular process in your order to cash cycle, then when you get to that particular process, it would show you the matrix related to that particular process. And then if you navigate to another process, it would show you the matrix related to that particular process. So that's what context sensitive means. So depending on the context that you select within the Connect portal, it will show you the dashboard that's relevant to that particular context. It could be a model related to process. It could be an application. So when you select a particular application to look at it, it would show you the data related to that application in terms of its uptime, in terms of the costing related to it, in terms of other metrics that are relevant for that particular application. The same thing can be applied to a control or a risk as well. So it will show you the matrix related to that particular context that you have selected within ARIS. It could be related to users as well in terms of the how many models have they seen, what's the model that they've been working with, how many times it has been changed. So those are things that you can look at from a user context. Plus, you also have the option to customize the product. So if you were to customize ARIS Aware, you can have something like this where you can embed or have this SVG type of model, not model in this case, it is a visualization. So you can have this type of graphic, the visualization graphic, which is dynamic, or you could have something like this, or show data from process mining as well. So you can have various formats in which you can present the data. Some of them are out of the box, but what you're seeing here in terms of the SVG or the custom coded widget, these are not out of the box. These have been custom coded. So you can do such customizations as well to extend your visualization. So as we spoke about earlier, mobile devices are well supported. So if you're looking at it in a tab or if you're looking at it in a phone, it relays the layout is changed automatically depending on your screen size and its orientation. So horizontal or vertical. So it does all of that change automatically. That's a capability that's already built into the ARIS Aware application. And then just to show you some very high level of customization, this is something that we did for a power company where it shows you the usage of the power generation as well as consumption in real time uh, across the globe. So you can also filter it based on various things. So you can filter it based on a country, or you can filter it based on the location where the powerhouse is. So just to give you an example of how much customization or the uh, visualization change you can carry out within ARIS Aware, and it's all real time. So that ends my presentation, and now we'll get into the actual tool to look at how to work with ARIS Aware. And for that, the example I'll take today is something that everybody can relate to. So I'll take change management as an example. So if your models are undergoing change within ARIS and you want to see what's the status of the change, say you're using ARIS Process Governance APG for managing change between your databases. So you've got the dev database and production database, and you go through a change approval process to move it from between dev to production. And you want to look at the status of how those changes are undergoing approval. then you can perhaps build a dashboard to do that. And that's what I'm going to show you today. Uh, in one of the previous sessions that we had, we were talking about governance and had shown you a dashboard related to that change management at that time. I think we'll try and build that same dashboard today so that you can see how it is built. Uh, the data that I have in my case is in this governance log models, which houses all the data that is related to the changes that have taken place so far. And I can extract this data from within the database using a report. So if I go back to my presentation and look at this architecture, we said that there are different data sources that are available for you to work with. And there, we had mentioned CSV, XML, ARIS as a database, Excel, RSS, JDBC. In this case, well, I've not mentioned JSON here, but JSON is another data source that we can work with. So what I'm proposing is that we extract the data from this governance log models using a report and present it in a JSON format. And how you can do that is you can write a script to extract this data. In my case, I have that script already. What you could also do is you can schedule the script that it runs every so often. So in this case, maybe every 6 hours or every 12 hours or every other minute, depending on how quick you want the data to be refreshed within the dashboard. So this is the very first step where I'm extracting the data. So this step here. So I'm extracting the data in a JSON format. The data is currently in a ARIS database. I write a script to extract the data in a JSON format, and that JSON file acts as my data source. So you do that via a script. That's the script that runs every 6 hours, for example. It's a scheduled report that runs on this governance log models database and outputs the JSON files onto the ARIS document storage. And I think this is the easiest way to work with the dashboards. So look at the data from ARIS, extract it using a script. You can write your own script, or there are a few scripts that are already available that store data into ARIS document storage. And the idea is that then you use this document storage as your data source. So it is document storage, in this case, would be the data source here. So the script I have written runs on the database every 6 hours, and it updates these files here. So there are two JSON files that it creates. One is related to the workflow data, and the other is related to the model attributes of the content that is undergoing change. So it's creating these two JSON files, which have information in them related to the change as well as related to the model that is undergoing the change. And I would use these as the data source for creating the data feed. So the first step that we need to do is to analyze or identify the data source, and we have identified the data source as a JSON file that's currently on my ARIS document storage. And then the next step is to create this data feed. So how do I create the data feed? If you're working as a dashboard creator, then you need to have the Connect Designer license with the enhancement pack ARIS Aware. If you've got those licenses, then as a designer, you'd have this option to edit dashboards and data feeds. So if you click on your app launcher, you'd have this edit option under which you'd have these three options. So I go to dashboards and data feeds, and here you have an option to work with the dashboard as well as the data feed. So very first step is to create the data feed. And to be able to create the data feed, I click on this plus option here. it opens up a new tab where I can create a data feed. It's quite intuitive. It tells me what do I want to do. So the which data source do I want to use? I've got documents from this document storage, so it lets you browse that. You can connect to the web if you, for example, you're getting an RSS feed, or if you're looking at a cloud-based system from where you're extracting the data. This is where you would go. If you have an existing data feed that you've already created and you want to marry that with this new data feed that you're creating, then you would click this. Else, if you've got the ARIS process APM, ARIS uh, process mining suite, then you would use this. Else, you've got a JDBC database, you would use this. And then you can, we'll come to the addition operators a bit in a bit. So in my case, I've identified the data source as a ARIS document within the ARIS document storage. So these are the two JSON files. So I click on this, it opens up the document storage for me, and it shows me the subfolders under it. And my content is in the dashboarding here under governance. So that's the two files I've got. So let me take this as the input. It's a bit slow. I'm running all of this on my laptop, so it's just a bit slow. I clicked on it twice, so it added two. Anyway, so that's the first file which it has picked up, the JSON file, and it has clicked to the output. If you were to see what's in the JSON file, you can click on the output and you can calculate, and it would show you this information as a table to say, okay, this is what's in that particular JSON file. So it's got a number of calendar entries or timestamps, and then it's got some things related to the status of publication and review, and then it's got information about uh, who and who checked it, who created it, and few other things, description. And so it's got a lot of data in here related to the change log of how the content is being, the status of the content release. But it does have some missing data. That data is related to the model itself, and that's the reason I have this additional model attribute JSON. So I wish to marry both of them in this data feed. So what I would do is I can add another data source, and this time it's the model attribute. So that's the next stream. So I want to marry both of these. And to be able to join these, I have an operator here which I can use for joining the content. But before I do that, I also want to add another operator. So if I go back and show you things about the operator. So when you click on it, it shows you that these are the operators that are available. So it has multiple categories. You can do things related to the column where you can change the data type, duplicate the column, rename it, insert a column, delete a column. So based on your end result, if you want to add, delete something or change or mess around with it, then related to the columns, you can do that here. You can do a filter and replace either as a condition or based on some filters. And then you can calculate a whole lot of stuff, some arithmetic calculation, as well as some averages, aggregations, rounding up and down. There are things you can do with the date by filtering related to the date, moving the date, messing around with it. You can play with the text as well, replace the text using some conditions. You can extract the text, you can index it, convert it from one format into the other, say from a plain text to a number. You can combine data feeds, which is if you've got two data feeds that you want to join, then you can combine them, you can concatenate them. you can convert columns to values as well. So there are number of things that you can do here, and these are all available as operators. I'll show you some example, one or two examples here today, so that you can see how to work with it. So you click on add operator, and I would say insert a column. So I want to add a column where I want to do a count to see how many numbers of rows there are. So I'll call this column count, and I will say it's a number type of column, and its value is say 1. So it's going to add 1 per row, and then I can sum it all up in the end. And then you can keep adding multiple columns if you want to. So if you want to add more columns with some static values or with some numbers, then you can keep adding columns. So I've done that. And now if I look at the output, I should have a column count. So there's a new column it has added as a count with 1 as its value. I'll use this later on to add up some things based on filtering to get a summation to see how many rows there are of a particular type. For example, I want to count the status of approved, then I'll filter it based on approved and just sum all these ones into to get the full count. Then if I were to join these two streams, one of them is related to the change history and the other is related to the model information as attributes. If I were to join the two of them, then I have another operator here. So I select this again and add a operator. And I want to join things up. So I'll use combine. And then combine with this stream 2. So that's the stream 2. I want to combine these two. And then it's asking me what is common between the stream 1 and stream 2, which you use for joining the data. And I know that the model GUID is common to both of them. So the stream 1, which is about the change log, has information about the model GUID, which is undergoing change. And the stream 2, which is about the model's attributes itself, also has the GUID. So that's common to both of them. So I'll take that as something that is going to be used for joining the data. There's model GUID. Okay, so between the two streams, that's common. So it will use that to join this data with this data and produce one table with a combined data of both of these streams. Okay. So now let's look at the output to see what we have got. So I've got some data that's related to the stream 1. And then I added a count column. And then what I've got following this, these 4 columns are coming from the stream 2. So that's information about the model itself, the model name, which project the model belongs to, what's the model type, and which, again, it's a name, but that's the name from the first stream and that's the name from the second stream. So which I used to join the two streams. So you can see there's a left and a right, S name underscore L, S name underscore R. So the left stream and the right stream, it's used. So it's just twice. You can delete one of them if you want to. But I've got all the information that I need and I've joined the data. So let's keep this simple. You can keep adding operators to rename columns or add more static data or to convert data from one format to other or mess around with it. But I leave that for now. Looking at the time that we've got, I want to spend some more time on creating the dashboard itself. So what we have done so far, if I go back to my architecture again, we have identified a source, and the source was a JSON file that was lying on my document storage. I had 2 of them, in fact, and then I created a data feed where I joined the 2 JSON files and also did some manipulation of it. And now my data feed is ready. And the next thing I need to do is to create a graphical format to look at this tabular data. Before I go there, don't forget to save this. So save and call it, say, APG change status. So that's the name of the data feed. Right. So we have prepared the data. Now we go back to the dashboards and data feeds tab and go to the dashboards. And same as data feeds, we click on this add to create a dashboard. And the look and feel is the same. It opens up in a new tab. It shows you things on the right side that you can work with. There are a number of widgets that are available. You can all, it's quite visual. You can see what they are. There's a spider diagram, there's a combined chart, there's a bar graph, column chart, line chart, you've got pie graph, area chart. There are a lot of them, and whole other formats as well, which you can use. You've got speedometers, you've got an input field, combo box for a drop down, date filter. You also got a risk matrix. If you want a heat map, you've got a heat map, markers on a map, so vector maps. So there are all of these widgets that are available that you can work with. In today's exercise, what we'll do is we'll create maybe a pie chart, we'll use a column chart, and then let's also pick up, say, a table and maybe a combo box for filtering. So let's keep it simple. It's to give you an idea of what all you can do and how easily you can do it. But then once you start playing with it, you can always learn more. So I click on the pie chart, it comes up here. You can move it around if you want to change it elsewhere. You can do that. You can also make it bigger or smaller by clicking on this bottom right. Once you've placed it, you get a whole lot of options here. You also get options here. What it is asking you is what's the setup, as in what's the data, where's the data going to come from. So you could have actually directly selected the data from the document storage. If you've got a CSV file which is well prepared and the data is already available in the tabular format, you can click on here and select that. In my case, I had to prepare the data, so I created a data feed and I have a prepared data there. So I click on that instead and use this APG change status which we just created. That's the one that we just created. So I use that as the source. Since it's a pie chart, it's asking me what's the partition and what's the measure. So partition is what is it that I want to show in terms of the analysis here. So I click on the dimension and I want to show the status of the change request. So what's the status? So status is one of the columns that I've got as status. So that's the column I've got. And the measure. So what's the measure? The measure is the count. I want to have a count of the status as approved or in progress or released or whatever, published. So how do I measure that? That's the reason I had added a column called count, where I'm going to use that to count the number. When you do that, you see that you get an equal breakup of under review, approved, and rejected models, because it's an average. It's just doing an average, but I don't want an average, I need a sum. So I want to calculate or add up the rows which are approved, add up the rows which are rejected and under review. So I use the sum as the transformation operator here. So the operators are also available here. You can play around with them here as well as a next level. So it was quite easy. It didn't take even a minute to prepare this. So it has now created this pie chart. I have the information here. So that's available in this setup. You also have two other options here, or rather three. I'll come to the other one. The first one is appearance. How do you want it to see? How do you want to visualize it? So it's a pie chart. I will not change that. I can put a title here, which is change status. And then I can also add a subtitle, but leave that for now. I can play around with the colors. If you find that these are too gory and you want to make that subtle, or you want to have some different mix and match of colors, there are various formats here. So you've got summer grass, bluebird, India. So you've got balloons. There are a lot of options here. Depending on how you want to uh, use these, you can select them or play around with them to see how they vary. And yeah, take whatever that suits you. For now, let's work with this. So that's that. So you have a pie chart here which shows you the change status, approved versus rejected versus what's under review. And then you can also sort it based on certain things. So you can either based on count or based on status. So it just changes the layout. You can also show a legend if you were to. So if you show that, then it shows you the legend of what the color means. But I don't think that's needed. It's quite understandable. Uh, you also have an option to show values either as absolute values where it shows the number or percentage. Say, let's go with absolute values. It would show that there are 6 approved, 1 rejected, and 1 under review. You can also change this to a donut if you were to. So it shows you as a donut. Let's work with this. It looks better. You can also allow data download. If you enable this, then people can download this as a viewer. So when a viewer is looking at it, they can download this data. I'll enable it for the table, perhaps. Okay, so that let me stop here with the pie chart. So I've created a pie chart, and I think it looks all right to me. Next, perhaps I can also create a another chart which is say a column chart. So again, I size it up, and then it asks me what is the data source. So data feed, and again it's the APG. Okay, what I'm planning to show here is a dimension related to the project. So the change request, which project do they belong to? So the dimension would then be the project, which is one of the columns here, project name. And again, the y-axis, which is the measure, is the count. And now that you already know, it shouldn't be average, it should be sum, because that's how I have set it up. So it gives me a split of project A versus B versus C. And there are 3 each in A and C, and there are 2 in project B. So 8 of these and 8 of these. So the count is right. Again, you can have an appearance change. You can change this to something else. And something that is interesting is that you also perhaps want to change this count and the name of that column as project name. It doesn't look good. So you have an option to change that here. So it says x-axis and y-axis. X-axis, I will change this to something else. To this project. And you can also have orientation as rotated, alternate, depending on how many bars you've got here. You might have an alternate or you might have rotated. In this case, it's not too much, so the horizontal is fine. And then I've renamed this as project. I also want to rename this as count was fine, I guess. Not number of process, number of processes. So that many processes are part of that project. You can also have some other things. I'll leave this for now and then come back to it in a bit. So yeah, we have created these two graphs. Next, I perhaps want to do a filtering, and I want to filter it based on, say, the person who has initiated this request. So let me move this here. So I want to add a filter here. I want to do two things. One is perhaps I also want to rename. Oh no, I want to rename this as well. Title. Right. And then I want to add set text. And something simple. And then you can you can change the style as well. You can make this bold and underline it or change its color. Just to show you something. Yeah. Okay. And then I want to perhaps add a combo box where I want to filter it based on the user who has initiated the change request. So I select this again and data feed, and dimension here would be the person who has initiated it. So creator, user. Requesting ID. No. Okay, so if you have created this and you want to see how it looks like, you can click on this eye symbol here to view how it would look to the user. And I'm getting that information of the requester. I'm getting these two working fine. The last thing I want to quickly do is add a table as well. So a table would be grid. I'm just trying to avoid scrolling, so I'll make it control so that it fits into the page. And then I add information related to it. So again, it's the data feed, it's this, and then add columns. So I want the status, of course. First, I want to add the name. And then I want to add the status. And then another column, the project perhaps. And then let's say this. Okay, I'm just adding a few columns to show you how things work. And then I can move around these columns. For example, I don't want the responsible ID, I can delete it. And then it shows me a few other things. You can also have some hidden columns. Why you would need the hidden columns is if you are going to filter based on certain things. So if I were to filter based on the status, change status, then I would need that particular column here. But if I don't want to show it, then I can have it in the hidden columns. But status is here, the project is also here, so I can filter it based on both of these, as well as filter it based on this. Uh, right. So that's how it would look. So that was quite quick. In 20 minutes, we have created this dashboard. The last thing I want to show you in respect of time is that perhaps we'll convert these into colors as a traffic light, and we'll perhaps have an option to show you the filtering. At present, it doesn't filter either this or this, but let's see how that filtering works. So I go back to the edit mode. And if I want to filter it based on the user, I select this. And then there's an option here called filter. And you can filter it based on the request ID. So you create the filter here. And if you now look at requester ID is not available in any of them, and that's the reason you need the field. You need the hidden column. Let's look at this. So based on the project name. Right, so that was quite easy to filter. So when I click on this, it filters this. So project C, it shows you the values for project C, and it shows you how many of them have been approved and how many are under. One is under review, two are approved. If I look at project A, it shows me information about project A, and there are three approved processes. Project B has one rejected and one approved, a count of two, and it shows that here as well. So that's how you would work with filters. Let's try with the change request status as well. So change status, I go back to edit and I select this and initiate the filter based on the status. I just need to click on that. And then if I go back to view, I can then filter it based on this as well. So if I click on approved, it shows me three are approved in project A, one in project B, and two in project C, and it shows all of the approved ones here. If I want to see rejected, I can click on rejected, and it shows me there's one process in project B that was rejected. That's the contract processing to be processed. And then if I were to look at the review, one of them is under review, which is again in project C. That's this particular process, generic monthly closing process. And that's a quick overview of how you would work with the dashboards. We've got 4 or 5 minutes remaining. I just want to show you how we can convert these numbers into traffic lights. very quickly in a minute or two. So at present, it is showing me this in a numerical format. I don't want to see this 3, 1, and 2s. Instead, I want to see red, amber, and green. 3 means it has been approved, 1 means it is rejected, and 2 means it is in progress. So if I were to change this, what I would do is I would select this, and there's an option here, the fourth option which I spoke about earlier. So we played around with appearance, we played around with filters. The third option here that's available is the thresholds. So when you click on the thresholds, you have an option to add a rule set. So we'll say perhaps add a traffic light, and the column I am interested in is say the COE review. And what I want is that if the condition is equal to 3, then it is approved. So I'll want this as green. And then if it is equal to 2, then I want it as an amber. And if it is equal to 1, then it is rejected, which should be shown in, say, red. And I don't want to see the cell value. I just want to show this. So now you see that it has converted into a traffic light instead of the numbers. Let's make this a bit bigger so that you can see more of this thing. Okay, let's leave it here for now. Right, so now you've got this not beautiful looking but workable dashboard. I just need to rename these as well. You can rename these columns as one of the operators. In respect of time, let me skip it for now. But you can, of course, rename all of these. You can do a lot of other things, but in the 20 minutes that I had to prepare this dashboard, I quickly cooked something up, which is workable. So you can filter based on approved, you can filter based on a project and see which are the processes and projects C that have been approved, which is under review, and it's workable. Same thing, you can filter it based on this as well. So I'll leave it here for today.